Welcome back to Beyond the Buckets. Happy to have Special Jennings. Welcome to the program.
How you doing, Chris?
Number one team in the nation currently, and I just, what does that really feel like? I'm excited to hear what that means to you, and having so much success in your first year coaching.
The number one thing really don't mean too much to me, man. I'm more of I worry about how we play,
Yeah,
and that's what's important to me. Whether we're up 5 or 50, I care about how we play. Unfortunately, the way we play has allowed us to be up in a lot of games and to win a lot of games. So, I leave that. People get paid to rank teams, and so I leave that to them. I get paid to coach, and that's definitely what I focus on, and that's what I tell my players to focus on.
for
Other
sure.
stuff to take care of itself.
Absolutely. Bill Walsh has a great book, and in it throughout it, he talks about the score will take care of itself if you do the right things necessary to be successful. And it doesn't mean that you're going to win all of the time, but the majority of the time, the score is going to, figure itself out because you put in the process. So I really appreciate your process-driven approach to coaching. Now, Special Jennings is a fantastic name. Where did that come from? And if you have an origin story from that.
I don't. My mother decided to name me and my sisters kind of differently.
Hmm.
My oldest sister name is Treasure. My little sister name is Wonderful. And so when asking her, she just like, I just wanted y'all to be different. I didn't
Yeah.
want Brittany and Nicole. My mom's name is Nicole. So it's just I don't know. I don't know what was going on with her.
Well, beautiful name nonetheless. Give me a fun fact about yourself that some people might not know about you. I always like to go a little bit beyond the buckets and figure out, different intricacies of people. Like for me, my thing is I'm afraid of cats. Don't ask me how I'm afraid of cats, but I'm extremely afraid of them. But do you have any special talents that we're not aware of?
I'm not a fan of cats either. They kind of freak me out when they arch their back and do a little purr. I can't get with that. But I love, one thing a lot of people don't know about me is I'm into like houses. Like I love, house decor,
Yeah,
um, watching shows, Flip or Flop, Property Brothers,
yeah.
those type of things. Like I love it. I love watching, people build and backsplash and wood floors or oak and those type of things. So I'm really a super fan of that.
Man, I agree. HGTV is our go-to in our family. My wife and I, we sit there and watch it. We had a little staycation, and we just watched HGTV all day. Flip, like you said, the Property Brothers, Flip or Flop, and just seeing what you can think of, and then put it out there. Like some of these houses are complete trash, and then all of a sudden, a few months go by, they put it together so eloquently, and it's just amazing to me. I'm so fascinated.
It's a gift and a curse because now I walk into people's houses and now I'm looking around like, ugh, that's terrible, or don't you need new cabinet, or now I'm a critic instead of
Yeah,
so I find myself doing that, and I do that in my own home, like
yeah.
a little granite countertops and stuff like that, a little marble, but I'm still like, probably can use different baseboards, or just
Yeah,
finding the ticky tack stuff.
no doubt. We started to do some remodeling in our house, so we redid the kitchen a little bit, and then we kind of wanted to make an open floor plan from the kitchen to the living room because we have a wall there, and going through that, and was like, oh, maybe just wait on that. So we created a gym in our house, so that's pretty cool. So now we can work out. We've got everything we want right there, and that's been a benefit. One benefit, you know, during this time together.
Yeah, I'm all about the open floor plan, man. I have an open floor plan in my house right now, so
Yeah,
being able to stand in the kitchen. Well, I'm lying. I don't be in the kitchen that much. My fiance stands in the kitchen, and I sit
yeah,
on the couch and be able to see what's going on in there. Or hey,
definitely.
toss me a bottle of water, without. So yeah, I'm definitely an open floor plan person.
Tell me about your upbringing, maybe a 2 minute, 3 minute backstory on you growing up in Cleveland and kind of how that shaped you.
Oh, it's quick, man. Grew up in Cleveland. Went to East Tech High School for 3 years. Successful there. Won a city championship. Then left there and went to Lutheran East. Successful there as well. I'm fortunate enough to where in 1 year. That school respects the foundation that was laid, and my jersey hangs there. So, had a really good um, high school career. Started out, a lot of people ask about how I started basketball. I started basketball from football. I played football first. The coach saw me playing football, came, knocked on my door, asked my grandmother could I participate. Was always with the boys, tomboy, what have you.
Hmm.
So just loved being around sports. I played everything you can think of, contact, no contact, tennis, soccer, anything. But I think all of that, just having that in the beginning, playing different things, I think that really shaped me because I saw I got to be a different teammate with different people. I
Yeah.
got to see different styles, different sports bring something different out of you. So just I think that shaped me.
Definitely. I'm a big proponent of playing multiple sports, especially when you're young. And, there's so much specialization that goes on around it right now. And, playing multiple sports has shown over and over to be, more beneficial than just singling out. And it decreases burnout. It just, and the kids should be having fun. And so, my kids, if they decide to play sports, I want them to play as many sports as they possibly can. And by the time they're able to, really kind of figure out what they want to do, maybe after sophomore year or so, okay, you think you could play basketball in college? Well, then maybe you should focus on that. But other than that, man, just have a lot of fun. And it sounds like you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. These kids nowadays, the parents think that they're specialists in the sixth grade. And it's like the kid can barely walk and chew gum, or even if they are pretty good at this, they may be better at that. I was a hell of a track. I was really good in track. I was
Hmm.
really good in football. I started quarterback from the age of I was about 8,
Hmm.
all boys team. Really good, can throw it, really good in baseball. So I was good at a lot of things, and I just happened to fall in love with basketball.
No doubt. And I was a three-sport athlete myself. I played football, basketball, and baseball. And I stopped after my sophomore year playing baseball, but I still stayed with football and basketball. But because AAU basketball and baseball were at the same time, so that's when I had to make my decision. But that wasn't until my sophomore year. So I think people will benefit from playing more sports. You had a great high school career. Talk to me about your college career because you went to an Elite Eight, almost made it to a Final Four. I believe you're one bucket away. Went to Xavier, out in Ohio, I believe, right? It's in Ohio. Okay.
Yes,
I just wanted to make sure I'm on wax. So tell me about your college career.
another fortunate situation for me. Like you said, we went to an Elite Eight, but outside of that, just the school itself, just enjoyed my time in college, man. The community, Xavier's community is like no other. The support you get from being just a student there, but you double that with being a student athlete.
Yeah.
The fans, the community, they love basketball. We don't have football,
Mm,
and so it's all they love basketball. They love
right.
it. They eat, sleep, breathe basketball, and so that's an experience like no other. I played with great players, man. I had phenomenal teams. I played with 6 All-Americans. We were really good, and like you said, we came up short in that Elite Eight, two wide open layups, which it happens. It happens not
Right.
often, but it happens, and it just so happened to happen to us. But I wouldn't change anything.
Right.
Four conference championships, four NCAA tournament appearances. So, um, just a outstanding collegiate experience for me.
Definitely. And so you've always been in the cold, but now you're in Florida. So how is it going from the cold and Ohio and Cleveland to now a warm climate?
I mean, when I was even in collegiate, college, I lived in Georgia 3 years.
Okay.
And then I lived in Florida a year before I went to Chicago, and then I came back to Florida. So
Yeah.
I've gotten accustomed to kind of the heat. It's Ohio that I don't get too much often, really anymore. But yeah, I love the weather here. Like right now, today it was 70, 78 degrees. I got on a t-shirt and it just, I don't have to worry about scraping car off, warming the car up 30 minutes before you get in it. And you got
Yeah.
less seats being extra cold and all that type of stuff. So it's a beauty. I love it. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about becoming a head coach. For a lot of us, taking that jump 18 inches to that next seat is kind of a whirlwind in your first year. I remember I had so many different things that I wanted to do. I had like 50 plays. I had like 10 baseline out of bounds, 15 sideline out of bounds. I had so much stuff in my mind because I was just ready for this moment. And as I've gotten older, it's like, no, less is more. It's really about the details. And, it doesn't matter if you have 50 plays if we can't run any of them successfully and get a good shot. And, for me, it's just been more about developing our players and how to play. I believe you talked about that in our pre-call a little bit, but how has it been taking that seat over 18 inches and now being a head coach for the first time after being an assistant for so long?
I think that's your preparation. Preparation is key. I think that if you prepare for the moment, when the moment comes, it's like sink or swim. You'll swim. And so obviously there are some things that are different with me, being the head of an entire program and not just a piece of it. Um, kind of like you, but not in a sense of where I had a million plays and all those things. I think as an assistant, I have a portfolio where I build up certain things and okay, if I have this type of team, this is the stuff that may work. If I have
Right.
this type of team, this is the stuff that may work. Or I may have this team. I think so many people go into it where, systematic. I'm not a systematic person. I've never been a person when people ask me, what's your system? Personnel,
Right.
whatever's going to work for my program, whatever's going to work for my kids, whatever's going to put us in the best situation to not only win games, but for them to excel, in their own individual space. So I'm not a systems person.
Yeah.
Right now we do run international ball screen and different things, but who's to say next year I'm not running Princeton or the year after that I'm not, what I'm saying? So um, it just, I cater to personnel. It just depends. But I think that you just preparation, man. You got to be prepared for the moment. And while you're getting prepared for the moment, it's not always about having, oh, I got a million plays, I got a million this. Okay. In a game situation, how many plays do you really think of in a timeout? How many plays really in that split second, that split moment? How many plays really pop in your mind?
Are you asking me?
What I'm saying, like
Oh, yeah.
2 to 3,
Yeah.
like head coach. You're not gonna think of 50 different plays. So you get your 2 to 3, 3 to 4 plays that really, really, really work. Your bread and butter that works against man in zone, or I call it player to player because I coach girls. I don't coach men, so I don't call it man to man. But
Mhm.
where it works against player in zone, you have that. Now you're comfortable. You're comfortable because you know that okay, if this scenario come, I got this. If this scenario come, I have this. You're not having to sit there and think like, oh, I got 100 plays. Which one I'm gonna use?
Right.
So like you said, less is more. And I think preparation. That's just key. Preparation.
Definitely. One thing that I found over the last several years is giving them opportunities to find solutions on their own. Us as coaches, we know what to do. We know if it's a 1-3-1, what we're gonna do. Okay, if it's an off front zone, we're gonna split the top, put a couple of people in the corner. We might put somebody at the high post if they want to cover it. We might drop them, stuff like that. Like that's easy for us to figure out and identify quickly. However, we want to put them in situations in practice where they have to figure out, okay, well, they're in an odd front zone. What should we do in this scenario? Or they're in player to player, like you said. What should we do? Who's the weak link? Are they switching the screens? Should we do ball screen? Because now we get this player in a mismatch, and just getting them to think more. One of the really great podcasts, I don't know if you tune into it, but it's called the Basketball Cup Podcast with Chris Oliver. And he really breaks down what they call the games approach. And so the games approach to basketball is simply this: what happens in games most, and really mimic those things in practice. How many times are we doing Euro steps in practice or in a game? I'll watch every single one of our shots, and I rarely see a Euro step. I might have seen 3 all year. So why are we going to practice that during practice? Or layups with no contest? There's only a no contest when there's a run out layup on a steal. That's because your defense was solid and you got a good steal and you got a layup. But other than that, why would we ever do a layup that isn't contested unless we're warming up or something like that? And it just made me open my mind so much more to what actually happens in the game and practice those things more often.
Yeah, I mean, some people think that you have to be the jack of many or jack of all, and really, you just have to be really good at what you're good at. Um, I agree with the what he said as far as the in practice. It happens in practice. Like me, I don't from the way that I teach offense and we teach shapes. There's only so many. I don't care what set you run, what formation. I teach defense based on formations.
Hmm.
There's only so many things you can do out of a certain formation.
Right.
Like you can back swing, da 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 da. But if we know the formation, that's like if I'm in a zone. Say we're in our blitz package or whatever. Say we're running 2-3, and you try to offset that. Okay, what formation is that? Our defense. So if you give us a 3 guard front, we're gonna automatically shift to a 3-2.
Right.
And so you're teaching based off of formation as opposed to, you get a lot of coaches is like, oh, they run the flex, they run this, they run that. And in practice, you're trying to scout a team and you're trying to teach them 100 different plays. First of all, half your kids can't run your plays,
Yeah.
let alone you trying to get them to run somebody else's plays. But if you teach them the shapes, if you teach them formations, when they see the formation, you already know what defense to jump into. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. And that, I love having these conversations because I've never heard shapes. I've always heard even front, odd front, man to man, player to player, stuff like that. But that's a good way to put it because somebody might learn differently than saying even front or odd front. So having multiple things in your vocabulary, think about the shape. What is this? What is this shape, and what should you do against it? I think that's brilliant, and one of those things that I'm gonna steal.
I mean,
That's
I
a
didn't
bit
think
steal.
this through it, but it's just like you said, man. It's formations. A kid can tell you horns. So if they're in a horn set, obviously in a horns versus a 2-3, it's hard because you got the back line, da 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 da, whatever. If they're in like a 13, most people call it 13, the 1-3-1,
Yep.
top, middle, two wings, bottom. If they're in that formation, okay, then we switch to a 1-3-1. See
Yeah.
what they do. So just formations. If you teach kids formations, it don't matter who you play. If a team is running something out of that formation, you'll be able to guard it. You'd be surprised. Instead of trying to teach them how to stop a play, get over this screen, get over that screen, how to guard this screen. Granted, we learn how to guard screens and different things, but the easiest way is to teach them the formation.
Yeah. Talk to me about building a program. Obviously, this is early in your career at Montverde, but I know you have a plan in place to make sure that it is a long-lasting, tradition. Whether you stay there for the next 30 years or you leave prior to that, I know that you have a plan. So tell me what your plan has been to get to where you're at so quickly, and then how are you guys going to sustain that?
I think that you just, I say it on all the podcasts. You build a house, they'll come. You lay the foundation. Formation is everything. It don't matter what like you just said, you're about to remodel your house, correct? The foundation is there. Your house ain't going. You're not gonna move your house. You're just making changes. And so, my goal was just to come in and build a foundation, lay that down. What's our standard? The standard. I don't use the word culture. It's so cliche, but there's a standard to when to being in my word, to how you act, how you speak, how you interact with other people, how you practice, class, punctuality. There's a standard. Most would say culture, but that's what it is. And so, I think that when you build your house, like, they'll come. I don't think that I have to really sell anything. First of all, the school will sell itself.
Hmm.
We have 90 different countries at our school. We have 34 AP classes. We had a 100% college acceptance rate. There ain't another high school in the country that can say that. I don't even have to speak basketball. That's just off of a academic standpoint. Then you get to the basketball of what you're getting. Top-notch facilities. We have our own strength and conditioning coach. That it's basically set up just it's college. You have tutors, you have study hall, you have periods of class. It's not like a regular class where you go to school 8 hours straight. They have individual blocks where they have school. You may not have class this day, different things. So just you got to lay that foundation. When that foundation is good, man, you can change the house as many times as you want.
Yeah. I had a actor on here a while back, and he talked about, early on in his career, he was playing act. Like if somebody wanted to act like Will Smith or act like, Kevin Hart or something like that, well, that's never going to work. And the thing that I appreciate you is you are only talking about what you guys are going to do. And like you said, you have everything in place to be successful. And the boys have been super successful, for at least the last decade now, and they've got a bunch of guys in the NBA and stuff like that. And so I love the fact that you are standing out from it's going to be different from, and and you're starting your own standards and your own culture, and that's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't come in building off something somebody else created, because at the end of the day, I may not fit that whatever they had going on, that style. And so just putting it out there of just giving you just authentic, just being authentically myself.
Yeah,
And this is what you're gonna get, whether it's on the court, whether it's in person or whatever the case is. There's a standard to everything. And I'm not above the standard either. My players are hold me accountable. Coach do something janky, let me know. I'm not above the standard, but there's a respect, there's a line there. They know that line not to cross. But just having that in place, and just having you gotta have kids that hold other people accountable too. Now that's the other part.
right,
Early on we was fighting with their buddies, their friends. I can't call my friend out. No, we're roommates. I can't call my roommate out. She's not gonna talk to me no more. We're gonna be mad. The room's gonna be quiet. But when there's
right,
a standard and you have a common goal, all that stuff, your feelings and your emotions, I tell them check that at the door. I'm not here to pacify your feelings while we're on the court, while we're in practice. In the court, whatever's going on in your life, in your little world, in your bubble, when you get in this gym, it's not gonna change. In these 2 hours, it's not gonna change. So for these 2 hours, leave it at the door and then pick it up on your way out.
right.
I tell them that. But you got to put things in place. There has to be something non-negotiables. I have like non-negotiables where I may budge on some things, but there's some things I have absolutely no tolerance for, and my players understand that.
Right. Uh, it takes somebody that is completely self-aware of themselves, and I would say that you are a self-aware person. I'm very much the same way. Where there's like, "Hey, coach, we want to rock these team shoes." I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But when you walk through this door, there you gonna choose what you decide to bring in here. Whatever happened outside those doors, when you come in here, you better be ready to serve your teammates, okay? Serve your school, serve everybody who supports you as well, as come in with a great attitude. You decide what type of attitude you can come in. I could have gotten a argument with my wife 5 minutes before practice. We don't usually argue, but if I did, it's my choice to come in there with the positive attitude and not bring it to the kids. And the same thing goes for them. If they're having relationship problems or friend problems or whatever, they need to come in that door with a servant attitude, ready to come in and do the work. And it sounds like you're very much the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's trickle down effect. Your energy is contagious. It can, for right or wrong, there's leaders. There's good leaders and bad leaders, but there's leaders. So you kind of gotta make that choice of who you migrate to and all those things. But you just gotta, your attitude is everything. Body language is everything. Some people don't think that body language is an attitude. It's an
Yeah.
attitude. If I feel like I can't talk to you because of how you look, that's an attitude. And some kids don't understand that. But you can't. Life is. I tell my kids all the time. Life is happening to everybody. Coach may come in all the time, and you think I got it all together, but when I go into my office and I shut that door, sometimes I can knock everything off my desk. I'm like, oh my God, I can blow a gasket, but at the end of the day, like I don't my blood, like when I cut my arm, I don't bleed on everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I wipe my blood off, I bandage my arm and make sure that no one else gets bloody. That's how it's supposed to go.
Right. So many people, I love to use this analogy is your prescription is only for you. Like if the doctor write me a prescription, that's only for me. It ain't for everybody else. So I'm not going to give it to everybody else, and nor do you need to get it. It goes for playing your position or playing your role. You got to star in your current role while also seeking opportunities to better yourself. But at the end of the day, for us to be successful, you need to play this role and you need to play it well. And guess what? If you play it well, the team is going to benefit from it. And then you probably get more leeway because you built that trust.
Absolutely, man. Gino Auriemma hit it on the head the other day in an interview. He said that, he talked about the piano player. And he talked about, there's the person that plays the piano and there's the person that brings the piano and puts it on the stage. Both are important. It's just the pianist learned how to play the piano,
Yeah.
and the person carrying it is you're an intricate part of me being able to sit here and play the piano. And so I think that that's correct. Some people, oh, you're a role player, you're a role player. You're right, but your role matters. Your role matters. If Dennis Rodman didn't play his role with the Bulls, they don't win championships. If Scottie Pippen don't play his role, they don't win championships. If MJ don't be who he was and play his role, they don't win championships. So like your role, like take it and run with it. Heck, I played with, I told you, 6 All-Americans. My role wasn't to come out and score 20 points a game. Could I score 20? Yeah. Did I score 20 in games? Yeah. But I knew what my role was. My role was to make sure everybody was in line. I was the general. Everybody understands what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, and then we execute. That was my role. And everything else in between, that was a bonus.
Right. uh Talk to me about the relationship piece. Coming into a new program, I know I did it. When I did it, I took the two captains from last year, and we went out to lunch, and I said, hey, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I'm going to ask you guys to trust and follow and believe me without even seeing it. We all believe in, or most people believe in God, and I'm a God-fearing Christian myself, but I've never seen God, but I believe in it. And I told them, um, you got to do the same with me. And if for any reason that I don't provide you the trust that you think, then maybe that's when you don't need to listen to me. But I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you guys trust what I'm saying to you. And then if you guys believe, everybody else is going to do it. Those two young ladies, it was my point guard and my off guard, and and they're outstanding young ladies to this day. Both of them are doing really successful things, but that level of trust that they allowed somebody that just came in. I had never coached girls before. Um, that allowed me to really be who I was because they trusted me. And in turn, it got to the rest of the group. What was it like for you building relationships with not maybe just the top players, but your entire team, especially during a COVID year where things are a lot different than they normally are?
Yeah, it's like anything, you kind of got to form that a genuine relationship with them, to care about them a little bit more deeper, than just basketball. A little different than what you said as far as the captains. I don't have captains. I believe in leaders. I follow whoever's leading, like, who's going to lead the team. I'm not going to pick the leader. The leader will emerge amongst the group. And so, when I came in, I didn't know these young ladies. I know from you can watch a couple games and things like that, but watching you don't know them. So I didn't come in like, oh, it's the end all be all. I'm here is my way or the highway. It's, you know, what are they accustomed to? If it's something different than what I'm gonna do, then how do I ease that in? I gotta stroke their ego a little bit just to get my stuff in the door. And then who's adapting? Who's really taking to what I'm saying? Who's really giving me that positive feedback that I need? And then who's being rebellious? Kids are rebellious to what's uncomfortable. They navigate from it. They never go to it. They navigate from it. And I say that all the time. You can tell when it gets hard, kids, AAU, high school, college, the transfer portal, they just jump ship,
Right.
never adapt to adversity. So yeah, I was searching for the leaders, and even captains and all that. I don't have captains. I don't have captains. There's a couple really good leaders though.
Yeah. And to your point, it was the captains from the previous year that I had met with, and I let the kids choose who's going to be the captains. But I always tell them anybody can lead, and that's very important. I think that's a very important thing. But for some people, it's very important to stand up there. I remember when we didn't have captains and we kind of rotated every single game. Okay, you two stand up there. You two stand up there. It was just girls are just funny with that because I would rather, if it was me, I would rather be getting a sweat trying to warm up, in the game. I don't need to stand up there and listen to the ref say the same thing 35 times throughout the year. But I'll digress. That's another story for another day. Talk to me about the relationships that you have built because you're unique in the fact that you used to coach college and now you're coaching high school. And so you have a bunch of those connections as well in the collegiate ranks. And now a lot of your players are highly sought after by some of these universities. So what has it been like being on the other side of things where now players, instead of doing the recruiting, now other coaches are trying to recruit your players, and in turn they're recruiting you too, because they want to get on your good side, and just in case you have any influence on where they might go. So tell me what that process has been like for you, and how often your phone's ringing daily.
Well, you know how I go, man, in this business. Friends want favors. And so, of course, my friends in the business are heavy on the calling. But then, it's been great, kind of other people calling and reaching out and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's less about me and more about the kid. I'm very open to the college coaches and letting them know that I'm not swaying their decision at all, one way or another. These kids, my players can advocate for themselves, and they're gonna go where they fit, where they're comfortable, where they want to go. I'm not gonna go to school with them. I'm not gonna be there. I think that the other bonus is the fact that I was at the collegiate level, so I can tell them everything that they need to listen to, what they need to look for, the questions that needs to be asked. A lot of people would tell them, if the coaches is calling. Well, it depends on which coaches is calling you. Is it the coach at the end of the bench, or is the head coach calling you sometime? Because at the end of the day, like, kids get disappointed when they go to schools for assistant coaches. Assistants leave all the time. You better get to know that head coach and like that head coach and go to the school and for the head coach, because assistants, they leave all the time. You got a better chance of playing for the head coach because they're contracted in. Assistants is year to year, year to year. So you really got to get to know that head coach. Is that head coach giving you any attention? Are the assistants can call you till they blue in the face. They don't make no decisions. They don't. They can say so many things, but unless you hear from the horse, none of that matters. And so, just kind of giving them those cues, what to pick up on, what is being said, and then to tell them to pick a school you would go to even if they didn't have basketball.
Right.
Don't just go to the school for the coaches, because at the end of the day, I just said coaches leave all the time. You have to pick somewhere that you just love, like you just love everything about it. If Kevin McGuff left Xavier, like, I still could go to Xavier because I loved Xavier, love him, love the assistants, but I loved Xavier. And I strongly feel like you got to go where any event that something happened where the basketball team didn't happen, you got to go somewhere where you still would be happy. You don't go somewhere where you're gonna be miserable. You never know. Anything can happen. You can get injured, whatever. God forbid anyone gets injured, but anything can happen. Now you're not traveling. You're hurt. You hate the school. You're
Mm-hmm.
not practicing. It's just so much. It's so much frustration, so much built up anger, and now you're just unhappy. And what happens? Now you got to transfer. Now you got to do it all over again. So my kids they advocate for themselves. But it's been good. My
Right.
phone ringing. I try to give people the hours to call so that they know, the kids are in practice or study hall and things like that, because their days are pretty planned out.
Right. Um, what is your opinion, or what advice would you give for kids right now that are looking to play in college? Because this is a very unique landscape that we have now, special because everybody's got this whole year to play again. Okay. So, seniors, they can come back and play. Meaning, if you are a 2021 kid, well, they might not have that scholarship available for you if you didn't already commit and you didn't sign. And then the transfer portal, which you mentioned. I know a lot of college coaches as well that I'm friends with and I'm on the text with, and they're only looking at 23s and 24s now because everything's going to be so backlog. It's a 2-year backlog. Even the 22s think they have a whole year. It's just going to be a lot different over the next few years, and it won't sort itself out for, I believe, at least 2 years, if not more than that. So in this landscape, is there any advice that you would give personally to kids trying to play at the next level? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I would just say hit adversity head on. You can't always jump ship when the boat rock. If you in a boat, obviously the waves is gonna hit you. You can't run from that. And so, it starts at home. A lot of these kids are accustomed to, parents is always like, you are what you emphasize. And kids they'll do what they're allowed to do. And so, when you're not hitting adversity head on, you're always gonna run from things. You're always
Right.
gonna have excuses. You're always gonna be that person that whoa, it was me. That's always gonna be you. And
Yeah.
again, it goes back to find a place that loves you. It's like a relationship. You can't be in a relationship by yourself. You have to be in like a committed relationship with somebody that is putting in as much as you are. You're
Yeah.
getting out as much as you're putting in. And that's the same in recruiting. With these coaches, you got to be putting out the same. It's on the kids sometimes because they don't answer the phone. It's on the coaches sometimes because they don't call. So it's vice versa. But I would just say just hit adversity head on because it's happening now. The pandemic, this is an adverse time. Hit it head on. Keep grinding. Keep doing what you're supposed to do. You get noticed. Coaches, there's always a way. Coaches make a way.
Yeah.
If you do the work and you're as good as advertised, somebody will pull some type of string. There's always a way. So that's what I would tell a young one.
Definitely. Uh, what would you be doing if you didn't coach basketball? Because there's people that you come across and you just know that they would be successful in many walks of life. You were one of those people, and I've only talked to you for about 45 minutes. So what would you be doing if you didn't coach?
I'd probably be like an analyst, some type of sports analyst. I'm into a plethora of different sports, so maybe an analyst. And then my alter ego was Olivia Benson from Law and Order SVU. So
There you go.
I, I don't know. I'm pretty all over the place with it, but definitely a sports analyst for
Yeah,
sure.
you got to keep Ice T in his place. He gets out of line sometimes.
For
um,
sure.
as we wrap it up, two more things. One, where could everybody follow you and your journey and Montverde and your personal stuff? That would be the first one.
Absolutely, man. Follow Montverde Academy girls basketball at MVAGBB. That's on Twitter, Instagram at MVAGBB. Myself for my personal Twitter is at Special Jennings. It's public, so you can kind of go on there and check it out. But please follow us. We do a lot of great things. Our young ladies work really hard, and we appreciate all the support.
Definitely. And last thing, if there was one guest that should be on Beyond the Buckets, before you say it, you got to make sure you make the connection. But who would you want to see on the show? And we would have a good conversation that's just not just basketball, but somebody that can bring something to the table very similar to yourself.
Oh, one of my best friends, Jantel Lavender. Current WNBA pro. She's been through a lot of adversity in her career. She's dealing with injury, returning back. She just traded to another team. So she's six woman of the year, WNBA champion. She's done it at a high level, facing some adversity that we're speaking about. And she comes from Cleveland. She's been through a lot. So she'd be a dope person to have on and an inspiration to a lot of people.
Well, I'm gonna have to make that, or you're gonna have to make that connection for me, maybe through Everest. But I really appreciate your time. I know it's getting ready to ramp up for playoffs and things like that. So I really appreciate your time. I had a fabulous time chatting with you, and you are a true class act. I can't wait to talk to you again.
No problem, Chris. Thank you for having me. I appreciate everything.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.